to my YouTube channel. This is episode 1 of my bikini prep vlog series. So my first bikini show of this season is going to be July 9th in Allentown, PA, and that's going to be with my best friend Alexa. Shout out to Alexa. I'm so excited. So I'm doing bikini. This is my third ever bikini show. The first one I did, I was 19, so that was almost 2 years ago. And that was NPC. I did place top 5. I really liked it. Then the second show I did last summer was OCB, and I had a really bad experience. I'll save that for another video. Wasn't sure I was going to compete again, but then the last couple months I got really motivated and excited to compete, and I'm doing it not for the reason to like just lose weight or cut or look a certain way, because I'm pretty happy with my body the way it is now. But I just like having a challenge and something to look forward to, and something to help you push yourself in the gym and stay consistent with your diet and all of that stuff. I'm also doing a flexible diet approach this time, so I'm excited to kind of be able to plan out my own meals and like see what I can do and how I can make it fun and how I can help you guys. So I recently started watching like Amanda Bucci and all these people's YouTube channels, and I find that it really helps me, and I learn a lot just from everybody else's like how they go about their prep and like different tips everybody has. So I'm hoping that some of the things I do can help you guys, and that I can motivate some of you or give you ideas on how to prep better. So I hope this video helps you guys. I'm going to be covering finding a right coach, and then the difference between clean eating or a meal plan and IIFYM, flexible diet. Alright, so what is IIFYM? IIFYM is if it fits your macros. So when you're counting your macros, you're eating what you want and fitting it into your carbs, your proteins, and your fats. So your coach, or if you find your macros online for your body type and your like weight and height, you're going to get like 3 numbers, and that's going to be what you try to fill each day. So when you have a coach who gives you your macros, then they're not telling you what to eat exactly, and it's up to you to decide what to eat, and you just fit it into your macros. So the thing about IIFYM, and people look at it in a really negative way because they assume that everyone who counts their macros only eats like Pop-Tarts and donuts. And first of all, that's not true at all. I don't know one person who counts their macros and eats that all day, because if you're counting your macros in the first place, then you're obviously already pretty health conscious to begin with. And I don't know any competitors who aren't concerned about their actual health. Like, nobody's just doing it to like, I don't know, like people care about their actual health. So people know better than to just eat donuts and Pop-Tarts all day, because if you want to perform well in the gym and feel good, then you can't do that. So a lot of people who don't know, or like a lot of people who are strictly clean eaters, look at IIFYM in a bad way and say that, you know, we only eat donuts. But like, I'll eat 90% clean, and then if I want to have ice cream or like something to fit my macros, then I'm going to do that, and I don't like have crazy cravings that make me go nuts, and then I end up binging on Friday night when I like can't control it anymore. So one major pro of flexible dieting is that you're not restricted, and restricted dieting leads to binges and other issues. So a lot of competitors have dealt with that. I myself have. After following a clean plan, it always results in like a binging episode or weight gain. I'll talk about that in another video about how I gained 30 pounds after my first show. Good times. But anyway, back to IIFYM. So when you're not restricting anything, you can really just feel balanced, and like to be able to feel balanced on a prep is really awesome, because you know you're not going to be like missing out on anything, you know. So when you're counting your macros, like nothing's off limits, and you can just kind of be a person and like not worry so much about everything. Like you're still eating clean and healthy, but like not to the point where that's all you can eat. Like there's always room, or you can make your diet fit something that you want. Like I've been eating a lot of Chipotle recently. You just go there and have them put the things on the side so that you can weigh it out yourself, and then you're eating Chipotle, and it's awesome. So the really good thing about if it fits your macros is that nothing's off limits, and so that doesn't result in binge eating episodes or anything like that the way a restrictive plan would. So now I'm going to talk about one con of if it fits your macros, is that it does take some time and effort to plan out your meals. And if you're new to counting macros and you don't really know what you're doing, and a coach or somebody gave you macros to fill, you might feel overwhelmed and stressed. And that's not how you want to feel when you're on a prep or when you're dieting. So if you're doing a prep for the first time and you've never counted your macros and you want to do flexible dieting, I would definitely give yourself like a month or like a few weeks to first get adjusted to counting your macros before you're in a contest prep, so you don't have both stresses coming at you at once. So definitely take time to like figure it out, like plan out what you're going to eat. Make sure you have time to do that and that you're actually going to. Because if you wake up one day and like don't plan out your macros at all, you might end up eating all your macros by like 2 o'clock and then being starving all night. So you want to just make sure you like give yourself the time to plan it out. So that's one pro of a meal plan, following a clean eating or like a coach's meal plan, is that you don't have to think at all. Everything's already planned out for you and you just kind of go through the motions. And that was pretty helpful for my last prep, because if you're busy, you don't really feel like planning out all your meals and trying to fit like fun things into your diet. It's kind of stressful. Not like eating good food is stressful, but like trying to fit it in and like planning out your day around it can be kind of time consuming. So if you're busy and you just want something like plain and simple and straightforward, then I would suggest using a meal plan from a coach. So a con of clean eating meal plans is, like I said, it's very restrictive, and that results in binge eating episodes or just intense cravings that you can't fulfill. And then after your show, you'll probably gain a lot of weight and just kind of go crazy. So on my last prep, I was eating the same thing like 6 times a day, every day, and I would be allowed to have one cheat meal on the weekend. And I remember getting sick like multiple times after a cheat meal because I would just eat so much and like not know my limits. And I would just like eat until I was uncomfortably full because I'm like, oh, tomorrow I can't eat this stuff, like I need to eat it now. So people who bash IIFYM usually are people who will give themselves cheat meals or cheat days and just go crazy. But is it better to have like a donut or an Oreo 3 days a week and just have that one Oreo and they call it a day, or eat the entire box on a cheat night and then feel like absolute crap the next day? Like, you have to take those two things into account and realize that the healthier option would be to eat an Oreo like once a day, every day, rather than eating like an entire 2 sleeves on Friday night when you're allowed to. Alright guys, so I'm going to start talking about finding the right coach for you. So we just talked about clean eating versus flexible dieting. So I would say the first step in finding a right coach is figuring out what you want out of the prep. Do you want to have a meal plan, or do you want to have more control of your diet and do a flexible dieting approach? So once you figure out which way you want to go, you can start doing research on different kinds of coaches. So basically, there's a lot of coaches, I have to put quotes around coaches out there, on Instagram or social media who claim themselves to be a coach, but they don't have any education, and a lot of times they've done a show one time and think that that like qualifies them to be coaching somebody else and taking somebody else's body and health into their own hands. And that's super wrong. So look for somebody's education and their credentials. Like, just because somebody has a good body and says they're a coach does not mean that you're going to even get close to that or that they know what they're doing. So before you sign up with somebody, make sure you look at their credentials, or even ask them, like, what qualifies you to coach me? My second coach I had, his thing was that he has 21 years of experience coaching. And like, okay, that's great, but are you educated to coach? Like, do you have anything that makes you a valuable coach aside from your experience? Like, you could have 20 years of like experience coaching people, but you've been doing it wrong the whole time, you know? Look at Jake. Jakey! Yeah, hi! Look at this cutie! Oh, you don't like the camera. He's scared of the camera. Alright, sorry. So, as I was saying, you want to look for a coach who has education, they've done research, they have like a lot of client testimonials. That's another thing to look at, is your coach's client testimonials. So, you know, if you can't find any, then that's probably a red flag that it's probably not the best coach. So what was I saying? So figure out what you want, find a coach who's going to do it, and then do research on that coach. Another thing I like to do is find one of their clients and message them. So before I signed up with Will, I found one of his clients on Instagram, and I messaged her and said, you know, like, hey, I'm looking into using Will as a coach. Like, how was your experience with him so far? Like, are there any cons to his style of coaching? Yada, yada, yada. And she said, like, no, not at all. Like, I got really positive feedback from her, and then I, like, read all of his client testimonials, and our email chain back and forth before I signed up with him was, like, I think, like, 30 emails. Like, that's another thing. Ask your coach or your potential coach a lot of questions, because you're putting your health and your body and your money into their hands, so you're allowed to ask questions. So if you have a question about something, like my question, one of my big questions was, do you do cheat meals? Because for me, I've been having a cheat meal like every week since I've started prep like 2 years ago, so that's kind of my routine. And he said no, and I kind of thought about it for a couple of days, like, will I be able to get used to this? Like, because cheat meals have always just been kind of like something fun and like relaxing for me to not have to track my macros for one night. And so I put a lot of thought into that, like, will I be able to get used to this? And then I like even experimented one weekend before I signed up with him. I like had a cheat meal and like made it fit my macros, and I was like, okay, I can do this. So as I was saying, I experimented with whether or not I could make a cheat meal fit my macros and still feel like I had a kind of like a diet break, and I could. So after that I said okay, and asked him a few more questions, like finance questions, things like that, and then I signed up with him. So that goes on to my part 2 is money. So coaches are not cheap. I mean, there's some, probably the Instagram coaches who have no credentials are probably pretty cheap, but I mean, they should be at least. But if you want like a good coach, then you're going to have to kind of make an investment. But I see it as an investment in your progress and your health and your whole competition journey. So if you're taking it seriously and you want someone who really cares not only about your stage presence, but also about your health before, during, and after your competitions, then definitely invest in a good coach who is educated and knows what they are doing, has testimonials, all that stuff, and also someone who can help you reverse diet or who's going to be there for you after the show, because that's the hardest part of the competition process. So ask them how much they charge, obviously, and make sure that you can afford it, and if you can't afford it, then wait until you can. So between the coach and the competition, like entry fees and all that stuff, it's around like, I would say between $1,000 and $2,000 for the whole like however long you're doing it. I mean, there's ways around that if you coach yourself or make your own suit, things like that. But like I would say average $1,000 to $2,000. So definitely make sure you're in a good place financially so that you can afford it and so that you're not ending up like stressing out about paying your coach or anything like that. So yeah, that is my point number 2, is make sure that you can afford your coach. Another thing to consider is online versus in-person training or coaching. So I've done online for my first show. I did online and it worked out really well for me. Second time around when I had to lose weight, I tried doing online, but I couldn't really stick to it because the coach really wasn't that into it and clearly didn't care about my health or my progress. So I found an in-person coach, and that helped me drastically because each week I was held accountable. I didn't just have to face myself. Like, you know, when you weigh yourself, you can avoid weighing yourself or like make up excuses, but when you have to go have someone like measure your body fat or weigh yourself for you, you can't really hide it. So that really kept me on track, and I don't think I would have really lost the weight as quickly and like controlled as I did if I didn't have a coach to go check in with weekly. That was when I was doing a restrictive meal plan, so that had its pros and cons. So if you feel like you need someone to hold you accountable, then definitely look for an in-person coach. So if you reach out to a coach and they don't email back within like 2 days, you probably don't want to be coached by them, because think about when you have a question or something like something goes wrong with your diet or like you're stressed, you need someone who's going to answer like within a day or two and be reliable. So communication is vital between you and your coach, especially when it comes down to show day. If you're bugging out on show day or peak week and they're not there to answer your questions, then like that's not good, because that's a really stressful week to begin with, and you need your coach there to help you. So yeah, I hope this video helped you guys in finding the right coach and like gave you more of a clear idea on how to like distinguish different coaches. One main point to take away is just because somebody looks good doesn't mean they know how to coach you. Like I said before, education is vital. How is somebody going to coach you on your health when nobody has ever taught them anything about health? And I think there's a lot of like bro science people out there who have these theories, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? Like, people don't have any basic ideas of nutrition, and they just teach people based on what they hear, and it blows my mind. Like, I had one kid one time tell me that broccoli has more protein than steak, and that blueberries are a great source of creatine. So yeah, as you can see, like, not everyone knows what they're talking about, and both these people who said these things were very big and muscular, and people would probably trust them based on their appearance, but you're not going to be getting huge eating lots of broccoli instead of steak. So yeah, don't take everybody's advice just based on how they look, and find someone who's smart and knows how to teach you how to eat, and someone who can help you not just look good, but be healthy and maintain a healthy metabolism and not just cut as soon as possible. Like, I hope this video helped you guys kind of understand what direction to go into if you're looking to compete or prep and want to figure out which style and what kind of coach is the best for you. Thank you for watching. Sorry, I'm just hanging out on the floor.